All right. Well, good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Senior Tech Coffee. I'm Patrick Baker, and I'm your host for today's session. We have a guest today, Nathalie de Vazeille from StackCare. And we're going to be talking about the StackCare product and what it does to help older adults age in place, and also to keep caregivers and family members up to date on the basically the status of that individual who is using their product. So Nathalie, welcome to Senior Tech Coffee. I appreciate you joining us today, as well as to the members of the audience. So that we're also going to be recording this on YouTube, or for placement on YouTube. So this will be uploaded to YouTube later. And if you are watching us on YouTube, then thank you for joining us in your own time on Senior Tech Coffee, and please subscribe. And again, I am Patrick Baker with Prime of Life Tech, and I have over 30 years of IT experience. I provide IT education and technical support. I support the older adult community, small businesses, and senior care professionals, and I can help you both on-site or remotely with your technology needs. You can learn more about me at primeoflifetech.com. And so, yeah, we're going to dive right into our discussion of StackCare with our guest, Nathalie de Vazeille. Thank you so much again for joining us today.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you for making the effort to pronounce my crazy name.
Oh, absolutely. Well, hey, you know, I just this on a short sidebar. You know, I've been to France just once, and I know un peu French, as it were. So I like to get. I love speaking French. It's a beautiful language. Anyhow, a pleasure to have you here today. So let's talk, first, let's talk about a little bit about yourself. Could you give us maybe a little bit of your background and kind of let us know how you arrived at your position at StackCare?
Sure. Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here, excited. So my background is really in international business. I graduated from George Washington University and went back to Europe and was working there in the fragrance and cosmetic industry, in marketing and sales and B2B. So really had a long experience in marketing and sales. And, you know, I think if you like sales, you can sell anything. I love being in the fragrance industry, which is very different from the senior care industry, but I always felt like it was a bit shallow after, you know, being in that industry for 20 years, and really appreciated the opportunity to join a company like StackCare, because I felt like it was wonderful to be able to help people in an environment which really, you know, which considering the fact that we have a growing caregiver crisis, that more and more of us are going to be, you know, older and older, and that we really need help there. All of us, we're all getting there. I really felt that it was a very, you know, great product to be with. And honestly, if you'd told me 20 years ago that I was going to be working for a software company one day, I would have said, you're crazy. That is really not my thing. But I love StackCare. It's a great product, and I have been working for them for 4 years now, at first more on a consultancy basis. That's kind of how I help them approach the European markets. You know, I have my knowledges in different languages and so on. It's very helpful, and I'm still doing that. But just now really making sure that people know about our product and how much it can help them. So being on your webinar is a great opportunity to talk about StackCare and what it can do for families and for, you know, the seniors themselves, and how it can really help people in this situation of caring for their elderly loved ones, and ensuring that the elderly people can remain in their homes, live independently, and have that reassurance that their families always know whether they're okay or whether they need help. So that's a little bit of my background. Should I start sharing this?
Please.
Or would you? Okay, great.
Yes, so, please do. So Nathalie's going to give us a brief overview of, you know, StackCare's purpose and some of the key features. So looking forward to it.
Right. So yes, let me just move on. So what is StackCare? StackCare is what I would like to call the next generation monitoring system for older adults living independently, not just older adults. It can be any vulnerable people that would like to have a little bit of an additional oversight. Our system remotely monitors daily activities and habits 24/7. It always works to detect any changes in the behavior. So everybody is different and everybody has their type of habits and behavior, and we detect anything that's untypical and unusual. And then when we detect it through our motion sensors, that could be developing health issues or potential falls, our AI and data science engine issue push notifications directly to the family or caregivers' phones, mobile devices, watches, etc. Really important to say that StackCare is what it's not. It's not cameras, no microphones, no wearables, no batteries to charge, no alarms to set. So that's why we like to call it a passive monitoring system, because the senior does not have to do anything. I just like to take a look at this page, which shows a little bit the technology as we know it nowadays, which is the alarm systems, the buttons that people need to press. And it's always a bit dramatic, you know, when something happens, there's an emergency, you respond to it and you try, you know, to help, but then you have 911 and all that stuff. So it gets a little bit, it's a bit more invasive in that sense, and really questionable whether actually older adults want to actually wear them and then use them when they have them. And also being even able to summon help when they need it. They might be unconscious and then they wouldn't be able to press a button anyway. So our system is, as I call it, passive monitoring. It allows for early identification of issues, no cameras, no microphone, and the senior is passive. There's no need to interact. At StackCare, we really like to say early intervention is always better than an emergency response, and the outcome is generally better too. Why StackCare? Because it does give you peace of mind. It gives families peace of mind to really reduce the daily anxiety and stress, because you know 24/7 if your senior loved one is okay or if they're not. And if they're not, you will receive a notification that will be sent to your mobile device. And for the seniors, it's just a great way to continue to live in the comfort of their own home, independently and with dignity, in the sense that, again, you know, this just motion sensors, there's no cameras, nothing that is obtrusive and that invades their private space. This is a little bit of a quick tech thing to show how it works. I'm not going to get too much into it, but we do have these motion sensors. They're very small. I'll show them on other pictures, and a gateway. All that gets installed very easily, 10 minutes into, that's all that it takes to install the system into a person's home. And then the system collects the data, the motion data, and sends it through to our cloud, and our data science and artificial intelligence will then analyze the data. And if there's anything unusual, it will send out notifications and information to the mobile devices of families and caregivers. So what's
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
And if you don't mind, would you back up just to the previous page, please? I was curious with the gateway. The gateway, it basically connects to the Wi-Fi network in the person's home. Is that correct? Is there the ability to connect over the cellular network with your product?
Not yet, but we are working intensively on it. And I believe that within the next couple of months, we will have the LTE solution. It is absolutely very high on our roadmap, because we realize that not everybody has Wi-Fi. So
Gotcha.
just we're working, you know, on getting the system integrated with our system.
And also in terms of the you know, the data collected and the processing that occurs on the back end, really essentially what you're doing is you're documenting patterns in that person's behavior, and the machine learning and the AI, and I'm sure you're going to get to this in a moment, will essentially interpret any changes in those patterns. Would you say that's a correct statement?
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And the AI really, you know, AI sounds kind of threatening, but really all it does, it just allows for a, you know, really, really fast to convert that data into insights at a very high and fast speeds, because we basically could collect data every 4 seconds. So, you know, that's like 35 1,000, I'm not sure what you call it, units of data per day. So our AI is
Sure.
able to understand the what's going on, and basically, like you say, convert it to insights that we can then, the information can then be sent to the mobile device.
Cool.
Does that
Excellent.
answer? Good.
Please continue.
Okay. So this is what's in the box. The gateway is 4 inches by 4 inches, gets plugged into the wall. The little infrared motion sensors, that technology of infrared motion sensors has been around for a long time. It's the technology that opens supermarket doors, when they open and you come in and out, and it's really just collects basically the motion, ones and zeros. Gets position in the bedroom, in the bathroom, and favorite room, and the kitchen also. And basically in areas where you can monitor key indicators of health, like sleep, bathroom usage, and kitchen usage, etc. I'll get more into details for that. We also have contact sensors that are, again, very tiny, and they get attached to either the exit door or the refrigerator door. They're optional. The help button is a new feature that we have introduced a few months ago to allow people, if they do want to have immediate help, to be able to press a button, and within seconds, a help alert will appear on their family's mobile phone telling them that they need help. So again, nothing to wear, no cameras, no microphone. I like to emphasize that because I do think it's a very important feature. So what do we actually look at? So for instance, we look at with the motion is at the activity. How much does somebody move? How much do they not move? Do they move too much? Do they move very little? All these are really indicators of, what's happening with somebody's, well-being, and if there's any kind of developing health issues. Same for the sleep. How many hours do you sleep? Do you sleep a lot? Do you spend a lot of hours in bed? That could be an indication that you're not feeling well, or you're very restless. Sometimes we can even detect a beginning of cognitive decline and things like that. So what are the changes? Bathroom visits, again, that's kind of something I want to make sure that people understand. It's really just, we put the sensor in the bathroom. It doesn't have to be in the toilet, and it doesn't mean every time you go to the toilet. It just means every time you go to the bathroom. But we have been able to detect, for instance, developing issues where somebody was maybe, creating a lot of activity at many hours during the day in the bathroom because they were rearranging their closets and so on, which can kind of indicate that there might be some more care needed for that person. Maybe they have developing some cognitive decline. Nutrition, we put the sensor on the fridge door, and in the kitchen we can see if somebody's eating, if they're drinking. Well, we can't see that, I have to say, but the sensors will see if the fridge is opened, and if sometimes people forget to eat or they're not hungry. I had that in my own family. My father stopped eating in September, unfortunately, because he was just getting very ill, but that was how we found out that he wasn't feeling well. So the artificial intelligence can really establish the typical patterns and then report accordingly and just see when something is not typical.
So like for myself, just as an example, I have a smartwatch that also happens to track my sleep quality. And the app on my phone will tell me, how many hours I slept. And of that time, it sort of slices it up into, you had X number of hours of light sleep, and you had, Y number of hours of heavy sleep, and you were awake for however much time I was awake. Do you have a similar breakdown in terms of the sleep quality, in terms of the reporting? Or what is reported in terms of sleep quality?
Right. It's really the sleep hours that are reported, but it could also be, the time spent in bed. Our system, we have now, in the meantime, since we've been around since 2013, been able to collect 5 centuries of validated data, also through our work with CCRC. So we do understand if somebody's just laying in bed or if they're sleeping more deeply. And what will happen is that our nighttime activity monitor, and I will be more in detail in that in following slides, but will show sometimes people sleep so deeply that they don't move. And our sensors will detect that and might even send out a notification depending on how you have customized it, saying, the person is not moving, which sometimes we sleep so deeply, but it's not going to do what your watch does. That's a little bit more advanced, and that's not really the purpose of StackCare.
Understood. Yeah, and this is way more focused in terms of, my watch does a very small subset of what your product does. I was just using that as an example. And then on the nutrition and the eating side, is it is it one of the optional contact sensors that gets mounted to the refrigerator or cabinet doors? Is that what you're referring to?
Correct. The basic kit comes with 3 sensors: bedroom, bathroom, favorite room, and then we offer additional. We have 2 more kits in our shop. So one of them would include also an additional sensor for the kitchen and that contact sensor for the fridge door, which shows that there's kitchen activity, and you have then access to what we call the kitchen page, which shows how a person has been opening the fridge and actually spending time in the kitchen as well.
Excellent, thank you.
Just wanted to show you what it actually looks like when it's installed. So this is in my own home. I'm being transparent here, but you can see, the little sensor is up here on the wall. It's really tiny. It's the size of a thumb. There it is in the corner of the bathroom. This would be, for instance, the contact sensor on the fridge door. So just thought it would be interesting actually to see what this looks like. And It just gets attached to the wall with a command strip. You can take it off anytime. There's no drilling. It's not a heavy duty installation that needs to take place.
And they're pretty light as well, correct?
Extremely light. I mean, I'm not sure what they weigh, but it's very small. They're high quality sensors. They come from Canada. And we fine tune them so that we can pick up motion every 4 seconds. So really very reliable data. The battery life is a minimum of 2 years, 2 to 4 years, but even when the battery starts running out, let's say you have the system installed for 2 years or so, our system, we will send out a notification saying that the batteries need to be checked. That's also important to know that you have that reliable information that the sensors are actually working.
Yeah, that's a pretty long battery life too. That's good to know.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of forget about it. And that's really what happens, as you saw on the screen when you see the picture. We install this and in people's homes, and 2 days later, literally, they totally forget that they're there. They're smaller than, some alarm system that you might have. You just forget about it. And sometimes if people get concerned that there is a camera in there, we actually even open it up and show there's nothing in there. It's just a motion sensor.
Excellent.
So this would be, for instance, when you open your app. I'll also show you what the notifications would look like on your phone. But when you open the app, you have immediate access to what we call the dashboard. And there you can see Jane Doe, on this day, she slept 7.5 hours. Bathroom visits were typical. Activity, you can see at 9:40, she was, you can actually tap on these little tabs and see where she was at the last minute. So that's, again, something that's a really high value. If we have people that will call their parents, I'm not sure if I mentioned that already, and not know where they won't be picking up the phone, but actually they can then see on their app, where's mom, what's happening? Oh, she was just in the kitchen. Temperatures are very important as well to monitor. We do that temperature to see if the house gets too hot or too cold, to avoid dehydration or hypothermia. We've had it that literally somebody left their window open in the middle of winter, and I'm not sure how it is in Denver, but in Virginia, the temperature can really drop within half an hour. You can drop by 30 degrees in the January. So that can be dangerous. Or in the summer, we had a lot of warnings because of the heat wave in California, where they don't have air conditioning typically, and seniors were just their houses were getting too hot. And then you also have the kitchen activity, and you can again see, they were in the kitchen the last time at 8:12, and then just take a look at it. It's also a possibility to have several people on your app. So if you have your mother-in-law and your father and so on, you can have multiple seniors on this app, which is also interesting for home care agencies when they work with this product.
Yes. Yeah, I was actually, I just had a couple quick questions. How do you collect the temperature data? Which of your sensors collects temperature data?
The motion sensors collect temperature. They collect temperature and humidity, but we just indicate temperature.
Gotcha. And then I was going to ask as well, and maybe you're getting to this later, your product can be used not only by individual consumers, with multiple, I guess, end users, I'll call them, the people whose activities are being monitored, but it can also be used in an institutional setting as well, correct?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We work with senior living facilities. It's a little bit of a different, what we call StackCare Pro, and it is a little bit more advanced, obviously. And we, there you would have a centralized dashboard, which is very helpful. I've not included that in the presentation, but it gives you an oversight, an overview of all your residents at all times. And that dashboard, we also offer that for home care agencies, that they also have access to the information for all of their clients who live in their own homes, but of course, to have a general overview. So we work with the consumer, we work with home care agencies, and we work with senior living facilities.
Excellent, thank you.
Just wanted to show you an example of what the notifications might actually look like when they pop up on your phone or on your watch. And we can go more into details what they actually say, but this would, for instance, be the night activity monitor all the way on the left, which says no motion has been detected in the bedroom for more than 3 hours. Last activity was in the bedroom at 1:29 a.m. So if you've set your night activity monitor for 3 hours, if there's no motion, then you know there's a problem, and you will get that notification on your phone with a chime to be notified of it. Or for instance, the middle one is the exterior door was open. That happened at 4:27 a.m. This is in my own house testing it, and I was up early, let the dog out, and all of a sudden the chimes went off. But anyway, in the case of a senior, it's really nice to see, is there something, sometimes with wandering and elopement, and just to make sure that they're safe. Or, even knowing that sometimes, okay, they have left the house and that's why they're not in there, and that's why there's no movement in the house. And then you also, on the right-hand screen, I just wanted to show you what it would look like if you had several people on your app, mother-in-law, father, etc. All like we send out a daily update. I will get into that in a minute, but we send every morning at 11:30 and a positive notification, everything is fine. And so the updates, everything can pop up on your screen, and you can have access to that information for various people on your phone.
So these are all automated notifications, correct? There's no human intervention other than the older person whose activities are being monitored. There's no human intervention from a caregiver or a family member that initiates these alerts, correct?
Exactly. So as much as the product is passive for the senior themselves or the vulnerable person, it is also passive, if you want, for the user, who has it on their app, the app user. You don't have to do anything. You do not even have to look at the app. You can be reassured that if there's a problem, you will get that bing on your watch, on your phone. And for instance, with the help button, it's a repeated bing if you don't, react to it or don't look at it, just to make sure that you hear it. So the information will be brought to you via those notifications.
And then it's essentially like just a sequential reporting of activities as they occur, correct? In other words, there's not, for example, if let's say mom opened the exterior door and went outside, is there a corresponding door closure notification that might cancel out the open notification, or it just boom, open, activity, close? Is that
Well, yes, because what you would have is you open the door, and so you could be going out, but you could also be opening the door because you're letting in the mailman is bringing you post or something. So it doesn't differentiate in that sense yet. There's obviously the possibility to install a sensor in the hallway, and that way you can see if there's motion in the hallway, and you can kind of have those deductions. But for the home care product, we don't do that. So no, if a person opens the door, there's no like closing, because the door, obviously, once it's open, if it doesn't close, that's a good question, actually. Not really sure how to answer that right now, but
that's okay. No worries. I was just curious how the sort of the mechanics of the notifications, but that not a problem. I get the sense from what you're describing, though, that it essentially gives you like a sequential notifications as they occur. But it also groups them by user if you are indeed monitoring multiple people.
Right. Well, okay. In this case, for instance, with the daily update, that is something that that's the one notification that everybody will get every day. That's the one positive notification. You're in the midst of your day, you're working, you're taking care of your kids, you don't know what, boom, at 10:30, everything is fine. Mom slept well, slept so and so many hours. Everything is typical. Everything is good. So we wanted to create that positive notification that you're like, oh, okay, I'll call her later, but I know she's fine. But all the other notifications only come up as they occur. And if there's the exterior door never gets opened, or if there's everything is fine, you will not get notification. You only get
Sure.
when there's an issue. But what
Understood.
you can do at all times of the day is go into the app and then actually look at the different screens. That's something you can always do. So you can see, you know, this is so the sleep, for instance, the sleep would be a 7-day historical data just to see how they slept over the last 7 days. And, you know, shows, you know, that sleep duration was maybe 7.5 hours, and that's typical. And if there's anything unusual, that would appear there. And same with the bathroom usage. We differentiate between nighttime and daytime bathroom usage. The gray zone is nighttime usage, just also on a, you know, to see maybe you detect some issues. Nighttime usage is much more related to really bathroom usage, whereas the daytime can also be that you're taking a shower or going in to brush your hair, etc.
Sure.
Then you have the activity screen, which shows you at all times, you know, where the person was last seen. In this case, for instance, on this middle screen, it says last motion was seen in the dining room at 2:05. This is the time that this is the actual time that you're actually looking at the app, so you can see, oh, the person is in the dining room, or this is what they're doing, etc. And then, you know, you can see over time when were they in the bedroom. And it's also interesting to see, have they actually spent a lot of time in the bedroom, even during the daytime, you know, which could indicate that they're not feeling well, or anything that could be going on with them. This would be the temperature screen, which shows you the 3 different sensors, or 4 if there were 4. And so we measured the temperature in all the different rooms of the house and send out alerts if it's too high or too low. And this is the kitchen screen that I was talking about, where you have, you know, morning, lunchtime, evening, nighttime, refrigerator usage, how much has it been opened, how many times have they been in the kitchen.
Excellent.
And this would be, you know, for instance, your notifications that you can get, which can indicate a potential fall, you know, for instance, a night activity monitor, if there's no motion, and all these are customizable. For instance, the night activity monitor, you can customize that down to 15 minutes if you want to. Where you might get a lot of alerts then, if somebody, for instance, sleep deeply for 15 minutes, then you would get an alert. So some people might not want to do that, but if you have a highly vulnerable person and you really want to make sure that they're okay, then you would set it to that time. Everybody is different. Everybody has different habits and is at a different stage also in their health status in their life. So again, you'd see the exterior door, when was that opened, etc. So you can get an idea of what's happening there. Night bathroom usage. We really know from our data science that if somebody is in the bathroom for longer than 13 minutes at night, there's a 95% chance that they have an issue. And that's when we would send out a notification to say there's something wrong, because it could be that they have fallen and they can't get up and they can't get help, and maybe they're not conscious, etc. A night bathroom usage would also look at how much they use the bathroom, if they go a lot often, just to see if there's any developing health problems. And also, like, just looking in again with the notifications, if whether there has been breakfast, elopements, poor sleep, and so on.
What is an elopement?
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm maybe just assuming that's a term that's used also with people who have Alzheimer's or developing Alzheimer's, and it's when they actually leave their house in the middle of the night, and it's quite dangerous for senior living communities. It's quite a big problem with liabilities also, because people start wandering the halls in the middle of the night. They have what is called sundowning. So they sleep more during the day and they can't sleep at night, and they get up. And just recently I heard a story of a lady who left the house and walked down to the lake, and you know, that can be kind of dangerous, or cross a busy street or something. So that's
Sure.
what they call elopement, when older people, you know, start developing cognitive declines and might actually open the door and go outside. Or in the case of my father-in-law, he had oxygen problems and was just feeling very hot. So in the middle of the night, he had to open the door to get some air.
Thank you.
So daytime notifications are also, for instance, the up and about check. If by 11 o'clock, no motion, no typical motion, you know, no usual habits have been detected in the house, we will send out a notification saying, nothing has been detected. It's 11 a.m. You might really want to check that everything is fine, you know, with your mom or dad. And again, bathroom notifications also during the day. If everything is fine, you won't get a notification, but if there's a problem, we will send out an alert. The activity monitor is important too, because you can set it right now, you can set it down to 1 hour. So if there's no activity in the house for a set amount of time, depending on how you customize it, let's say you do it for an hour and there's been no activity, but you know that your mom or dad should be at home and they haven't really said that they had any plans or so, that activity monitor will send out a notification. I had one person, for instance, that had fallen on the ice in the snow in Canada and was outside by their mailbox, and our activity monitor could send an alert to the family to say go check. And it was great, that they could go find her before she, anyway, or even falling down maybe the basement stairs or whatever. Anything can always happen. So activity monitor, that's how we detect these potential falls. We also have, again, the temperature warnings and the kitchen notifications also during the daytime saying, oh, for instance, there's been no breakfast, no fridge opening, maybe there's a problem.
Yeah, I can see that the activity monitor being definitely something that people would want to focus on. I mean, again, back to my watch, it will buzz and there'll be a little icon of a guy walking that basically says, you haven't moved in an hour, you need to get up, right? And so, I mean, it's not good for us to sit around, for too long. So, yeah, I think that's worthy of highlighting. Anyhow, please continue.
Right. And in that case, like what you say, that's more for your health and well-being. My Apple Watch does the same. It really gets on my case when I don't move enough. But in that other case, it is more to see actually if there's no motion, is there a problem?
Sure.
We always like to say we detect potential falls. We don't, at some stage you're going to have to check. But if there's no movement and the person is in the house, what's going on?
Absolutely.
So yes, again, on the help button, when that gets pressed, within 2 to 7 seconds, the notification, the alert gets sent with a loud chime to somebody's mobile device, phone, watch, etc. Saying help button has been pressed, the person needs help, go check. And also what we also are able to say, where was it pressed, in which room, where's the person last been? And because, like for instance, on the right hand screen, we say the last activity was seen in the bedroom, and that's where the help button was probably pressed, because if there's an issue, you want to make sure that you can get into that house quickly and know exactly where to find the person.
Absolutely. And I guess I forget what the number is. Very high percentage of falls occur in the bathroom, for example. So knowing the location of the fall, I think, would be pertinent information as well.
Exactly. And yes, in the bathroom and bedroom, and in the early morning hours during the nighttime, that's when most of these falls happen, when people are maybe a bit unstable and they don't have their glasses on and their blood sugar is low. Oh, goodness knows, there's a lot of different scenarios.
I am curious about one thing with the help button alerts. So, like, for example, going back to my own use of technology, so when I go to bed at night, I put my phone on do not disturb, because I don't want to get I mean, I still get notifications, but there's no sound or in my case, vibration happening. Will your notifications override those types of settings on a phone or tablet?
No, they won't. So
Okay.
if you have your loved one and you want to monitor them and make sure that they're safe, you would have to have your phone on.
Got it.
Unfortunate. Okay. That's just the way.
No, that's clear. No, that's fine. I just know that for my own use, that would be a piece of information I would need to have if I was using your product. Yeah.
I do think it's a very good question. And again, like you, I like to turn my phone off at night, but at some stage, if you really want to have that peace of mind that that when there's an issue, depending also, everybody's different again. Some people might need it more than others. Depends a little bit on the status of the person. So here's the daily update, as I was talking, peace of mind that directly delivered to your phone. Hannah James was up and about around 8:15 a.m. Sleep duration, number of bathroom visits was typical.
What time of day do I get that notification?
10:30, because we have to kind of account for the fact that some people like to get up earlier and some people get up later. Of course, if you want to find out earlier if your mom or dad are okay, you can always look into the app.
Oh,
But
sure.
but if you're in your daily business of your day, you're working, you're doing this and that, as I say, I know a lot of people really like getting this. It makes them feel, okay, this is good. I'll call them later. I'll do this or that, but at least for now, I know that everything is fine. So this is what we like to say, it gives you peace of mind. It gives peace of mind to families. It even gives peace of mind to the seniors themselves. If they want, they can have the app on their phone too. I mean, this is all, the data is extremely, it's very safe. It's very encrypted. We don't have access to your data. It's just our system does it automatically. And also considering that it's just ones and zeros in motion and nothing really private. We don't know if anybody is wearing a green pajama or whatever they're doing. It's not important. It really is important to make sure that if anything untypical happens that might indicate a problem, that you will be notified so that you can intervene before something becomes an emergency.
We have a question from the audience. From Caroline is asking, to what degree can you customize the notifications?
You can customize them in different ways. For one thing, you can also say, I don't want to be notified. So you can enable or disable all notifications. Some things you might just not want to, it depends again on the status of your senior loved one. And you can also the time frame. It depends a little bit. For instance, the daytime activity monitor currently is set to a minimum of 1 hour, and then up from there up to 8 hours. The nighttime activity monitor goes down to 15 minutes, but you can customize all these notifications, the time frames, and again, as I say, enable or disable them according. Sometimes some things you might say, oh, I don't need to know. My mom is super active. She's out and about every day. I don't need the daytime activity monitor, as an example.
Can you customize any of the thresholds that that will trigger a specific notification, say temperature, for example? Can I say that, don't send me any temperature notifications unless the temperature gets above 75 degrees?
No, you would not for temperature. It's again a good question. I always keep finding new questions. Not for temperatures. You either enable or disable it.
Okay, but, not a problem.
Might be on the future roadmap. Who knows? They're constantly working.
Not a problem. Another question from the audience from Beth. Is there, what is the cost, and are there contracts involved?
Very good question. And I was wondering whether I should include it in the presentation, but I'm happy to answer it. And so I don't know if you're going to if there's a way to put up the link to our shop and to our website through your webinar, but
sure.
So we offer 3 packages. We offer the simple package. We call it just peace of mind. And that's 3 sensors and a gateway. And that's on average, it is $39.95 per month for a monthly subscription. The hardware is included. We just ask for it back when you cancel your contract. Then we have the Peace of Mind Plus, which includes a kitchen sensor and a contact sensor for the kitchen door. And that runs at $54.95. And I'm just going to take a step back. Also, the $39.95, if you buy a yearly subscription, you end up with $3.99 for the whole year. So that makes it a little bit cheaper. And, we run specials, etc. Also important to know that all contracts can be canceled anytime. And if, let's say you did purchase the yearly subscription, if you cancel it before, because things happen, we will reimburse pro rata from what you've used. So that should not hold you back from getting the annual subscription and getting the better deal. So the $54.95, that's immediate, the Peace of Mind Plus, which runs at $549 for the whole year. And then we have the Peace of Mind Premium, which includes 2 contact sensors, one for the kitchen and one for the front door, 2 help buttons, and an additional sensor for the kitchen. And that runs at $69.95 or $699 for the whole year. So excellent. That's, and again, all that information is on our website. So, and you order directly on our website, and, that's how it works.
Gotcha. We have another question from this one, or actually a few questions from Jane. She's asking, how long does it take for the AI to recognize patterns? One day of data is not enough to establish a pattern. Do you just let the system run for a few days and then look at the data and set parameters for alerts, or what?
Great question. Great question. First of all, the beauty of our system is that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to set parameters. A lot of systems, that are out there that do similar things, you actually have to set all the parameters. And you have to say, I want to be notified for this and for that. And it just gets very heavy. So no parameters need to be set. And after 48 hours, we have a pretty good idea, pretty good baseline of somebody's habit. But basically, once you install it within hours, you will start seeing the motion data. You will see it already on your phone. But basically 48 hours is the minimum before you get the reliable information and the reliable notifications that something untypical is happening.
Got it. Excellent. Sorry, just referring to my questions here. Do you think there's a big learning curve for your product? Either, I guess, really for the families or the caregivers?
Yeah. Excellent questions. No, because it's very intuitive, really easy. I don't know if you saw that from the screens. You understand them very quickly. There's really nothing you install it, 10 minutes, that's very easy. Most people can do it, maybe not your 85-year or 89-year-old grandmother, I don't know, but generally most people can install it. They install it, they have it on their phone, they look at the app, and they basically understand pretty quickly the information and the notifications. And there's really, as I said, nothing that they need to do. The app is just on their phone and they can just use it and look at it. So very, very quickly.
And the home setup, in terms of installing the hub and the sensors and all of that, is that very complicated? Do I have to individually connect all of the sensors to the hub, or do I just turn everything on and it just works?
Well, it's a little bit, so we have a lot of instructions also. We try to make it as easy as possible, but it is really easy. So you basically, you want to make sure that you have your Wi-Fi password available when you start, when you connect. And then you just join up the sensors, the different sensors with your gateway. But that is very quickly. It's really a matter of taking a tab out. We have like a little plastic tab in the sensor, so that you take that out and then start joining up, and you assign the sensors to the bedroom, bathroom, favorite room, kitchen. And if you move the sensor, you can actually reassign it. That's easy. Or you can add new sensors. And you put the app, first of all, so you put the app on your phone. So it's pretty simple, very quickly. And then you just can put those little sensors onto the wall with the command strips, plug in the gateway. So as I said, it takes you 10 to 15 minutes at most.
And then, so all of the configuration in terms of, like, for example, if I have a sensor that is in the bathroom, I'm assuming I have to somehow label that sensor as the bathroom sensor, and that all the type of setup occurs in the app. Is that correct?
Exactly. It will assign a number like 1A, and then you will see that, and you just click bathroom. It's very easy. You will see, you will see 1A sensor, and then you can just click on the tab that says bathroom. So,
excellent.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Nice. Excellent. So in terms of what do you think that are the key benefits that a family is going to get from using StackCare?
Right. So basically, I want to say it once more, but I do think I was just talking with somebody the other day about the value it gives him. He runs the senior zone in DC, so he has his own show, and he's been promoting StackCare and is using it for himself and for his mother who lives alone. And he says the huge value is really knowing that if something, that you just have that peace of mind that, if I can't get a hold of her, I can look at the phone and I can see where she is. And it's so simple. I said, what would you say the value is for your mother? He says, I'm not even sure she knows, because she doesn't even notice it anymore. So that's the value. You don't have to worry about, is mom really wearing it? Is dad actually pressing the button? Are the batteries charged? All these wearables, they're fancy and they're nice, and you're good at maybe wearing your watch, but some people just don't like that. And just knowing it just runs 24/7 without you having to do anything. And there's such a, the big term sandwich generation, we're all running around. We have our children, we have our families and so on, you know, when you're older, you know, adult children. So having that system where, for instance, I spoke to somebody else recently and she said, you know, this system is great because I used to have to run over to my mother's house frequently just to see how she was doing. So she was living in the same neighborhood, and she doesn't have to do that anymore because she has StackCare now. Or, you know, even if you have your elderly loved one living with you in your own house, it works then too. I mean, it works a little bit differently, but having it installed in her bedroom and bathroom, maybe, you know, if they're living in your home, or your dad with their ensuite, things happen during the night and you're asleep, you might not know, you know, and just being able to really help and intervene quickly when the person needs help is, I think, a tremendous benefit, and even just alleviating your work. Like I say, you don't physically always need to go to see if everything is okay. You can just rely on the system. So I hope that answers it.
And I think as well, from you know, looking at it again from the institutional perspective, you know, essentially having that dashboard where you can see at a glance, I'm assuming, you know, the state of the status really of many individuals
Exactly.
at the same time. That's got to be a tremendous benefit to people who in community settings.
And I should have maybe pulled up a grid, but to show you what the dashboard looks like. But it's basically all sorts of little boxes, and you can have 100 people, 100 residents on one dashboard, and you can
Wow.
put a central nursing station or something, and you can see. And we will on those dashboards mark hard notifications is when somebody imminently needs help. But we also have the soft notifications. Oh, and those are marked yellow. The other ones are marked red. Something's going on. You should go check, and then you can just tap onto that residence box and take a look and see there's something going on. Let's go check. Or, you know, even institutions, when people start wondering, okay, there's been an exit door. Which apartment is it? And you can immediately see on the dashboard which apartment it is, and then you can go and check on the person. And in institutions, the interesting part of it too, it's a bit on the side, but it escalates. So if somebody doesn't pick up or doesn't claim the issue, you know, like a care staff nobody responds to it, it will go on, you know, it will come back up again and again and again, every, you know, so and so every 15 minutes at first, and then every 16 seconds. And if nobody claims it, it goes up to top management, you know, so you can just know. And it's also data that's traceable to see how did somebody respond, what happened. It's fantastic data for families, again, you know, who can, when you have your facility or your home care agency and you say, your mom needs additional care or this and that. No, I just saw her on Sunday. She's perfect. She's fine. We had coffee together. Everything was fine. Well, here's the data that shows that, you know, that there might be an increased level of care, or even keeping people healthy, keeping them in the communities, because you detect an UTI early on, because you detect any developing health issues. You don't end up in the emergency room. And these things can be fatal. What do you call it? You know, they can die from them, you know, when if they don't get discovered soon enough. So that's the advantage for the institutions also.
Definitely. And so I guess one final question, what's on the horizon for StackCare? You mentioned that you're implementing an LTE version of the product that'll be able to run in a over the cellular network without the need for Wi-Fi. Are there other enhancements coming to your product in the near future?
Absolutely. In the near future, Alexa integration. So you could ask Alexa, how's mom doing? And Alexa will tell you, mom did this, mom is that, you know, like it will give you the answers. So that's one of the things that we're working on. And we're also looking at wearables, because some people really wanted to combine the wearable with our product. It's not really the claim to fame from StackCare, but if some people really want it, then you can, you know, integrate that. And the roadmap, I mean, it's basically, the opportunities are endless. So our engineers are constantly working on new ideas and new things. And that's another thing. If you get StackCare and there's any improvements to our product, we have updates, we improve the notification system, or we add new notifications. All that gets updated automatically over the air. You don't have to, you get all these updates automatically without having to, you know, worry about buying it, you know, getting a new system, or so it just happens.
Understood. Oh, and I just had one other question about, I guess, pertaining back to the institutional usage. Do you have a web app that runs in a browser, like on a computer, in addition to the mobile apps?
Not for the home use. That is for the home
But
care
but
agency.
for the pro version, you do.
Absolutely. For the home care agencies and for the communities, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. That was the question. Yeah. Thanks. Excellent. And if there's any other questions from the audience, please chime in. If folks want to join us on camera, feel free for questions if you want to ask them live. And I'm just going to wrap it up for us. So there we go. So can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't sure what we were looking at here. All right. Anyhow, thanks once again, Nathalie, for your presentation and for helping us learn more about your product. Very interesting. Just a quick word, if folks are interested in upcoming Senior Tech Coffee presentations coming up next time on the 19th of May, we're going to have Bill Nissim, who's a local realtor in the Denver area, and he's going to be talking about digital real estate tools. What are some of the tools that you can use to kind of drill down into the details about your property? And so we'll go into a lot more information about that on the 19th. That's in 2 weeks. And then coming up in June, we're going to be speaking with Mary Beth Van Horn from Electronic Caregiver, and we're going to be talking about the product that she represents that fills a similar niche to StackCare and some other competitive products as well. Anyhow, were there any other final questions from either Jane or Caroline? I see that you've joined us here. Any final questions that anyone has? Okay, very good. This is my contact information if anyone wants to get a hold of me. And Nathalie, if folks want to learn more about StackCare, they can go to stack.care.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yes. So, and I'll put the link to the StackCare website, as well as a link to the YouTube video in the comments for today's session on Meetup, as well as on my social media. And again, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you happen to bounce over there and check out some of the past episodes of Senior Tech Coffee. Any parting thoughts, Nathalie, in terms of StackCare or senior care in general?
Just basically saying that we all are going to be one way or another affected by this situation, either as care recipient or caregivers. And I hope that you see the value of a system like StackCare and how it can help you, families, whoever wants to have it at some stage in their lives. I'm still trying to convince my mother. She is a hard nut to crack. She wants to, she's not sure yet, but I think I'll get there one day.
Well, on that regard, here's a question. So you've probably encountered resistance in the past, or heard anecdotes about some of your clients having resistance to using or their elders using your product. What are some of the ways to broach that subject?
Well, first of all, I think it is very important to say this is completely private and you will hardly notice. I always feel what I like to tell people, I say, try it. Try it for a couple of months. If you really hate it, fine, just box it up, send it back. But it will give me as an adult daughter such a peace of mind to knowing that my mom is okay. And she's here 80 years old and she has ideas of painting the house. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I would really like you to install this system. Her resistance was the bathroom usage. I'm like, we can't actually not take that out there. I said, we're not looking at what you're doing in the bathroom. You might be going in there and brushing your hair. it's not about that. It's just that we need that element in our in our AI and everything, because it does indicate whether somebody might have fallen. Those are times of the day where something might happen. It's not about judging. Our system is not judgmental. It doesn't care. And I go to the bathroom 5 times during the night, but a stack doesn't care. What it would care about is that if all of a sudden I went 10 times. It's very private. It's just the person's data is under a very 30 letters and numbers code encrypted. Nobody knows what it is, and it really doesn't matter. And I also like to say there is a reluctance to technology, and there's this strong wish for independence. I don't want this. Don't get into my life. But actually, StackCare will help you stay independent, will help you really delay and possibly even avoid going into senior care. Because if you can catch developing health issues or any issues, somebody's found quickly when they're fallen, the longer they lay on the floor, the longer the risk is that they will pass away within 6 months, or will have more, worse consequences, broken ribs, dehydration, goodness knows. So there's all sorts of good reasons to have it as a system, because it does help you to stay independent. It's not trying to spy on you. And then I like to say, hey, when cell phones came out, I'm sure you all know that all sorts of older people said, I have a landline, that's fine, that's all I need. Now, over 85% of people over 65 have a cell phone. It's become normal. And I think that's what's going to happen with systems like StackCare, where we just try to see how technology helps us in so many different aspects of our lives, and why not in the aspect of keeping people safe and healthy. So that's
Definitely.
my part of it. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, so there might be, if I had StackCare in my house, I might have an issue with the number of bathroom trips in the night, because my cat goes into the bathroom a lot during the night. And so until you can differentiate between cats and people, there might have an issue in my personal application.
Right, but we can. I want to say that it's unless you have a dog that's 70 pounds, that would be difficult, because it is just
okay.
But cats and little dogs are fine. Our system understands that it's not a person.
Okay.
If you have an 80-pound dog and you're like 90 years old, maybe you have another problem. I don't know.
Indeed. Anyhow, we're at the end of our time. I want to just thank you one more time, Nathalie, for joining us today and for presenting StackCare and the benefits that it can provide to our older adult community and the people who take care of our older adults. And in addition to the audience for joining us today, really appreciate your attendance today and your great questions. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you.